Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tatiana and today I will be drawing Harry Styles. So basically what I did for this is I went on Pinterest and I chose a reference photo that I really liked. I saved it and then just started drawing. So a little bit of background information about me. I have basically been drawing since the 4th grade. This all started when I entered a holiday art contest with my local newspaper and I won an honorable mention. Now this artwork was not anything amazing, but I think just being recognized for it was a really great feeling for me, and it showed me that maybe I had some potential if someone else saw that in me. And so since then I started taking art a little more seriously. I always took it as my elective in school if it was offered, and I did it all the way through high school. Now, pencil drawing was always my go-to. It's just what I grew comfortable with, and it's what I did the most of. As you guys may know from my YouTube channel, I went to university and studied computer science, and at some point realized that it just wasn't for me. During that time, I think part of the whole crisis that I was suffering was due to the fact that I had abandoned all my hobbies, including art. So that's a whole nother story. So if you want to hear more about that, then check out this video that I have linked up that goes more into depth as to why I changed careers and how I ended up doing art now. But anyway, back in January, I decided to pick up the pencil again and just give it a try. It had been 4 years since I had last sketched anything, basically, at least seriously, and I just wanted to see how it would turn out. So I chose a picture of one of my friends that I really liked and thought it showed a lot of great expression, and I kind of just went at it, and to be honest, I was really happy with the results. I appear to have made a lot of progress since the last drawing I had done, and I wasn't sure why since there had been no practice in between. But now reflecting back on it, there were a few things that I did that I think really helped me improve, and I want to share those things with you now. So one of the things I did that really helped me out was with blending. So I swapped out my tortillions and I replaced them with a paintbrush. So a lot of times it looks like I'm kind of just painting. I'm not, I'm just moving the graphite around. So instead of using these tortillions, I was just using a regular clean brush to just blend all the graphite out. Now, a lot of people use their fingers, which I don't recommend, or tortillions, which are fine. You just have to constantly be replacing them, which I wasn't doing. And I just found that the paintbrush was a lot easier to hold and manipulate, and I just really liked the look that it gave my whole entire piece. So definitely try that out. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. That was just a cheap paintbrush that I found at your local craft store and just started using that. So don't spend a bunch of money on it. Now, one thing to note if you're new to pencil drawing is that if you're working with different grades of pencil or different values, the darker you go, the softer your lead is, and therefore the easier it's going to be to actually blend it. So your 6B pencils, your 8B pencils are going to be much easier to blend than say your 2H pencil or your B pencil, just because those are a little bit harder and not as easy to blend. However, I still think it's important to use all your grades of pencil, I don't even know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean, to create the value and contrast in your actual drawing. So that kind of leads me to my second point of what really helped me improve. Now, this isn't even so visible in my first drawing, but I think it's very visible in this one, and it's something I focused on as I continue doing my portrait. So Harry Styles is my third portrait. So for this portrait, I specifically focused on contrast. I wanted to make my shadows a lot darker and my highlights a lot lighter. And by doing this, I felt that I really managed to bring this whole drawing to life. So I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, and in doing so, I've learned that a lot of times your darkest darks should be even darker than what you drew them. A lot of new artists, including myself, have the habit of drawing lighter than we should. We get too scared of going too dark and that we're going to ruin the whole piece. But this really couldn't be further from the truth. If we really want to bring some realism into the portrait, then we need to go darker than we think. And this is just going to make everything pop. Unfortunately, when you do go darker, with pencil especially, it starts to become more reflective and you can only go so dark depending on your pencils. Now, one way to fix this is to use charcoal or maybe even try out a black colored pencil. Now, I personally have not tried this method out yet, but you know what? Art is all about experimentation, and I think it really could help get those darkest darks. I've also seen a lot of other artists use, like a white Posca marker or a white gel pen to do your very brightest highlights. I am too scared to do this, so I just kind of erase my brightest highlights, but if you want to go for it, because those tend to look really well in the end. So a quick note as we're getting into this piece of the drawing, I want to apologize for the number of times that I'm flipping the drawing. I was really worried and scared to do the hair because it's not something I feel comfortable doing yet at all. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos before starting just to get an idea of like some kind of a method to go about doing it, and in all of them they basically suggested to draw the hair strands in the direction in which they would naturally be flowing. So in order for me to do this, I had to turn the drawing around a lot, so I apologize. I hope it doesn't make you too dizzy. But anyway, we can go into my third tip, which deals with accuracy. So I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, how do you even get this sketch to look the way it does in the first place? Because without a strong foundation, your shading and everything isn't gonna do much if your sketch is incorrect. So what I did, because I really want to work on my observational skills and my freehanding skills, was I completely freehanded this just by looking at my reference that you see there on my phone. But I know that I still risked doing things incorrectly, and so the way I fixed this and I made sure that the sketch was actually accurate was I took my reference photo and I brought it into PixArt, basically any photo editing app you want. PixArt is free, so that's what I use. And then I took a picture of my actual sketch. Now be careful when you do this, because you want your phone to be as parallel as it can be to the actual drawing when you're taking this photo. Because if you're taking it at a slight angle or something, it may end up being a bit inaccurate when you're comparing the two photos, and it may mess things up. So again, just try to make it as parallel as you can. Then I brought this sketch photo that I just took and I placed it on top of the reference photo, and I lowered the opacity. So I basically stacked the photos on top of each other, and I was able to compare my own sketch to the original by lowering that opacity. So in doing so, I was able to see that, like, hey, I drew the face a little bit too fat, or this eyebrow is drooping a little too early, or I made the eye a little too long. And so by seeing that, I could go back to my drawing and fix those things as I went. And so you can do this check multiple times until you're happy with the way your actual sketch looks. And this way you're still able to practice freehanding without sacrificing any accuracy. Now, a lot of people also use the grid method. There are a lot of videos on how to do that, and I think that's wonderful. I personally don't use that. I probably will eventually, just because I do think it speeds up the process. But for now, that little hack is what I use. If you want a video on it, then comment down below and I'll be able to go more in depth with it. But all in all, these were the tips that I used in order to make this Harry Styles drawing come to life. In the future, I'll be making more drawing videos, so if you like this, make sure to stick around. I'm currently drawing one of Timothée Chalamet, and yeah, I actually just got a new tripod as well, so the video footage will be much better, trust me. That being said, here is the final result. Thank you so much for watching, and please like and subscribe if you did like it. Thank you.